people's expectations, I find, are really about them and keeping things the way that they've always been because it's safe and comfortable. And I've learned now that a lot of that is about them, right? And if you are challenging that for them, then they're going to try to shove you back in that box because that is
Oh, for
super
sure.
scary for them. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it is especially confining for women. I mean, it feels so rebellious to not do what is expected of us. And I love it.
I
Like,
know
you don't
listeners, you're shocked about this, right? Can you imagine we're saying this?
you don't have to check all the boxes. I
Mhm.
mean, I wish I knew this in my 20s. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls, conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
I'm excited for this episode because I think there are some real gems in here our listeners can walk away with, whether they haven't yet hit 40 or they're like us and they're well on the other side. But before we get started, what are you drinking?
So I am double fisting a really cheap Cabernet that, I don't know, comes by the liter because that's the kind of week I've had, and a
Nice.
big ass glass of water.
Good. Hydration is important.
Balance in life is what I feel. What are you drinking, love?
I am drinking a lychee flavor sparkling water.
Ooh, I haven't heard that flavor.
I hadn't either. Let me tell you how it is. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I give it a 3 on a 10 scale.
Give it a 3 on a 10. So total tangent, but what is that brand? Water something or other. Waterloo seltzers, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's an orange vanilla. It's so good. It tastes like a 50-50 bar kind of. It's really good.
Oh, orange vanilla.
That's what I put in my dad's drinks when I'm mixing for him because he doesn't know I'm trying to lighten it up.
What do you mix that with?
So I have invented-ish sort of this drink called the After Bahama Mama. I literally found it when I was in the Bahamas and I was like, just make me something with this and that. And they like threw this thing and zhuzhed it up, right? So it's like Midori. It's very like cruise ship, right? So it's Midori, blue Curacao, pineapple rum, Malibu rum, Margarita mix.
Oh,
right?
man.
I know. So he's always like, make those drinks I love, right? I'm like, seltzer.
That's funny.
So yeah, so I put a ton of seltzer in there because yeah, he likes them and they go down a little too easy for someone that's got to drive home. So just saying.
Yeah, got it.
Anywho, squirrel.
So we wanted to do an episode that could give you, our listeners, a leg up on life, some tips, and more specifically, things we wish we knew earlier in life. I asked my followers what advice they would give their younger selves. And here is what some of them said, mixed with our own little nuggets of wisdom. So let's get into it. So the first one that I was thinking of is to be a lifelong learner and accept that failing is okay. I kind of combined 2 in 1.
That's so hard.
It's all the same theme, but yes, so hard, and certainly something that is not easy, especially when you're younger. But I just feel like from such a young age, we learned that failing is not okay. Like nobody was happy with the Fs I brought home in high school. Yes, I got Fs and I had a ton of shame around this. And it created a story in my mind that failure is something to be ashamed of instead of an opportunity to pick yourself up and try again. I mean, starting in middle school, I started getting the message that I was dumb. looking back, I'm pretty sure I had an undiagnosed learning disability.
Ugh,
And no one said, I should literally try to get it diagnosed now, but oh well, I've gone 55 years with it. So
it's all
I think
good.
we're good.
You know me now. You're fine.
Thanks. No one said I was dumb out loud, right? Like my parents didn't tell me I was dumb. But I think that because society's views are so rigid on failure, that these messages and the feelings of the academic failure just started shaping my view about myself. But failure is literally a part of life. I read that Thomas Edison failed in 1,000 experiments before perfecting the light bulb. Imagine if he had given up. But what I now know to be true is that if you're failing, it means you're in the game. And when you learn to be okay with failure, to learn from it and move on, you become way more willing to take risks and charge after your dreams. But I think this is something that gets easier to learn with age.
Okay, so I have a theory about this one. And the theory is around girls and math. And I think that because math is about like failing to the answer, right? So you got to keep figuring it out and doing it. I think that it's super uncomfortable for a lot of women because of exactly what you said. And so this whole like girls are bad at math thing, I honestly think that has a lot to do with it, right? Like my daughter gets really worked up about this and she was always really good at math. But I think this idea of like, like for me, like I was like, no, I'll write the essay. Give me time to obsess infinitely and I can do that. But just the idea that I had to keep like screwing up to get it right was just I couldn't. It was so hard. So I agree.
Yeah. It was math for me.
Yeah. So speaking of which, here's mine. You don't have to do what is expected of you, right? This one was so heavy for me. Like I pretty much lived my life with the expectations of others, real or imagined, because frankly, I probably didn't really distinguish the two. And my Lord, was it freeing when I just decided I didn't give two shizzles about that, People's expectations, I find, are really about them and keeping things the way that they've always been because it's safe and comfortable. And I've learned now that a lot of that is about them, right? And if you are challenging that for them, then they're going to try to shove you back in that box because that is super scary for them. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it is especially confining for women. I mean, it feels so rebellious to not do what is expected of us. And I love it.
I know listeners, you're shocked about this, right? Can you imagine we're saying this?
You don't have to check all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wish I knew this in my 20s. I grew up thinking there was an unwritten list of successes I had to check off in order to, quote unquote, do life right. You graduate from school, you get a good job, you find a good guy, you marry the good guy, you have 2.3 kids with a white picket fence, and you live happily ever after. And come to find out, life is actually better when you live it according to your own guidelines, not the ones that society sets up for you.
Yeah. And given that script was never mine, instead of embracing that, I just felt like a giant failure because I got the good job. I couldn't find the good guy. So I didn't marry the good guy and had kids late. And so it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Right.
Yeah.
But I think that another part of this is that the world has changed so much. And some of this stuff doesn't even make sense anymore for everyone, right? Like, don't even get me started on college and what that means and how that kind of paradigm has changed. And you're talking to someone that went to like an Ivy League school. So hello, right? Talk about expectations. So that brings me to my next one, which is just do your thing and don't worry about being judged.
That is the best advice ever.
Karen's trying out our new official Drinks with the Girls Seltzer. So we're pretty in love with the sound that I used, but I may have to find another one. So let us know if you like that particular bleep sound, because you're going to start hearing it a lot.
Or if you just want me to say the F word already.
Mel Robbins can curse.
Exactly. If Mel can do it, we can do it.
What the hell?
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women in midlife unapologetically design a life they're in love with. My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and juicy things I have coming up, like my in-person retreat called Exhale in October 2024. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. But yes, best advice ever. So hard though, especially before we're 40, because we care a lot about what people think about us.
100%.
Am I right?
You are. You are. You are. And again, I lived and died by that for the longest time. And I finally just got so freaking sick and tired of playing by someone else's rules and getting absolutely nowhere. That was the thing. I was like, wait, I did all the things. I'm still in the same place. What the heck? But yeah, that one's been a big one for me. I just think it's super hard to do. Another one that's super hard for me is this idea of the importance of forgiveness. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not talking about being someone forgives, right? For me, there are people in my life that have done things that are pretty hard to forgive. I struggle with that, right? And so, Karen, coach extraordinaire, coach me on this one because I struggle with it, right? It's not about letting shizzle go and moving on, right? I'm 100% behind it. It's the forgiveness part that I struggle with. So, for example, forgiving my son's abuser. I just don't know that that's one I can ever do. Just gonna be honest.
Yeah, I totally get you on that. And I mean, this may be controversial, but I don't think everyone, quote unquote, deserves forgiveness. Like, there are definitely situations that I just don't feel like forgiveness is possible. And your such situation would definitely fall into this category. You know, I mean, forgiveness is something that can bring us peace, but in situations like that, honestly, I'm at a loss. Like the people that can give their family members murderer or something, like that's next level godly stuff for forgiving that, because I just don't know how you do that. But what I do know about forgiveness is it is something we do for ourselves, not because the other person deserves it, but it allows us to kind of unshackle ourselves from the event, from the pain, the memory, and move forward. And I think in cases where there's extreme harm done, looking at forgiveness as a process instead of like an end game, like how can I forgive them just 1% more today for me so I can move on? Not that it absolves them of their part, but so you can close the chapter. But I am not an expert. So if anyone else has any tips, feel free to reach out and let us know. And I also do know that when we can forgive ourselves, like this is a different piece of forgiveness, but when we can forgive ourselves, it makes it easier to forgive others. People don't talk about this piece very much, but it is super powerful.
Agreed.
So one of my little tips that I wish I knew earlier is don't take yourself so damn serious. Like,
true.
Just don't take things so seriously. Have fun, play, be silly. Even at our age, especially at our age, actually, because life is so freaking challenging and can be so heavy. I think that this idea of just having fun and playing is really important, and it feels good. Playing is good for your nervous system.
I think that laughter is a similar thing, right? Laughter is just like just sitting back and watching something that just cracks you up. Like I can think of a few things where I'm just like helplessly like in fits and giggles. Like it's so freeing. I need to do that more often.
Absolutely. And that laughter, like the belly laughs when you cry.
Yes. And you can't like stop. Like, yeah, no, I need that. I need that as much as possible in my life.
There used to be a Snapchat filter that when my kids were at home before they were big people, I think my daughter was like in high school. So there was a Snapchat filter that she would put on my face and it would just distort my face. And I would laugh hysterically and I couldn't stop. And then she would laugh hysterically. And so then we're both just like laughing and crying and we can't stop. And it was, that's a good memory.
It's medicine. Let me tell you.
Yes. Yep.
So another one I think is important is to take responsibility for your health, right?
Mm, mm.
So important. And the men in my life have fallen woefully short on this one, which is insanely frustrating. I will say, though, my husband is doing a lot better on that front. My dad is another story, though. Karen and I were just talking about that, and he's paying for that now, sadly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mom and my grandmother both were really bad at taking care of themselves, and they both, passed away from different things. But I watched that. They were bad at drinking water. They were bad at moving their body. My mom was a terrible eater. She ate terrible things. And so I saw kind of what that did. But it's this piece that you talk about is literally my motivation for wanting to work out more and to start surfing again, because I want to be strong and mobile as I age.
Yep, for sure. I think, I had a big old health journey reboot this year. And I know we're going to talk about that in an episode coming up, but same. I'm like, oh, no, we're not doing this next few decades in this space. And yeah. And I just tell my husband sometimes, like, do you want to end up like my dad? Barely able to walk? Like, this, running out of road, dude. Running out of freaking road.
Yeah. So another thing that I was thinking of is to really notice how you speak to yourself. And I mean, I didn't really become aware of the little, tape recorder in my brain until I was probably, 40. I was probably in my 40s when I really realized I had these thoughts and feelings in there that I could actually control. And this, surprisingly or not, is one of the first things I work with all my clients on, because they all have this inner critic and they have to tell her to get in the freaking back seat and shut up. Because most times our self-talk is filled with things that we would never say to anybody we love. So why is it okay to say it to ourselves? It's not. And it's this negative self-talk that keeps people stuck in life. So I help women reprogram all this BS in their brain, because your brain is not always your friend.
It lies.
It does lie. And their brain tries to give them all the excuses why they cannot have, do, be what they want in life. And it's literally BS.
Yep. 100%. And closely aligned with this is you are more powerful than you think you are, which I freaking love. I really, 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 really wish I'd known this a lot sooner, because I thought for so long that I had no power, and that any power I had was only derived from following, air quotes, the rules and playing by them. And when I kept losing, even after following the rules, I started to realize that I needed to really question who actually benefited from those rules, because it sure as hata wasn't me a lot of the time.
Yeah, I hear you on that. So I thought of one that I think I've been pretty good at. I don't know, but I just want all people to take all the pictures, even the selfies.
You're good at that. Yeah.
Take the selfies.
Take the selfies.
Yes, I am a shameless selfie taker, but take them of yourself. You are a gorgeous human being and you need to take selfies. Take them of your loved ones. Take them as you are living your life. And literally, we have cameras in our pocket. So there's no excuse not to. And I'm big on living with zero regrets.
Yepper.
And you will never, ever look back and say, oh man, I took too many pictures. I mean, you might say you took too many pictures, but you won't regret doing it.
Yep.
You will always regret not taking them.
Yeah, I got to get better about that. The negative self-talk on that one is real for me, but you're 100% right. So, speaking of which,
what you got?
Life is fleeting. You don't know what's around the next bend, so make the call, kiss the boy, eat the cake, do the thing, right?
Word.
I swear I never regretted the act of taking action, even though it may not have turned out the way I wanted. However, one of the times in my life I really struggled with this was when we came back from being overseas, from teaching overseas, and I had to deal with the aftermath of my son's abuse and again, long story for another episode, but the repressed abuse that came out from my husband and just the general shit show and the ramifications of it. And I had to go through some seriously intense therapy because I had this obsession with this idea that I could not make good decisions, right? Because I was the one that pushed us to go overseas. And, you know, my husband was a part of that. He wanted to do it, but somehow I decided it was all my fault. And I really had to really, yeah, I did some serious therapy on that. What a waste of time.
Oh, girl, that's heavy. You know, we as humans have a tendency to let fear and self-doubt rule our lives. You know, like I think about my sister, she has a saying, you know, we got to get out of the cul-de-sac. You know, we got to follow our intuition. We have to live our lives. And it may not end up perfectly, but there are always lessons and growth when you step out of your comfort zone and take a risk. And sometimes it turns out better than you could have expected.
Mm-hmm. But if you stay in the cul-de-sac and keep turning around in a circle, I love that. I like that.
You'll never know.
Because I firmly believe this, each version of yourself gets you to the next. So honor them all. It took me a while to get there, right? I think I need to do a better job at the honor piece, though, honoring each part of myself that got me here. I don't think I give myself a lot of grace, which is honestly pretty ridiculous now that I think about it.
You're not alone. I think a lot of women tend to do that. And this is where that self-forgiveness we talked about earlier comes in, because when we can forgive our oopsies and our questionable choices, we are able to see that we had to be there before we could get here. I mean, I had to do a ton of self-forgiveness work during my divorce, and it's not easy. It sucks to look at all the things we've done that may have hurt people or changed our lives in a not so great way. But remembering we're human and we're literally all just winging it.
Yep, because, right, everyone is on their own path. And just because yours doesn't look like someone else's doesn't mean it's the wrong path. I think that there needs to be some mutual respect there. Honestly, it's tough to go on your own. It's super tough to do it when it isn't something that people have done before or is in a, air quotes, typical path. It takes a lot to feel comfortable enough in your own skin to stick to your path. So I think it's hard when you're young to do that. Like you just equate going with the herd as some safety, which is a bunch of BS, but
totally. No, it takes so much confidence, especially as a young person, to choose that road less traveled. And I think, you know, the young people that I can think of in my life who kind of do that, to march to the beat of their own drum, it must have been a genetic thing. They were just born with this level of I don't give a forkness, you know? You like that? Hey, fabulous Drinks with the Girls listeners. Guess what? We have something exciting happening here at Drinks with the Girls. We have a way for you, our listeners, to be involved. You can be part of our Drinks with the Girls Pod Squad support team. Creating a sisterhood of empowered women is our goal, and we are so grateful you are here.
You can help us get the word out about Drinks with the Girls because we want all women to feel the support of a powerful community behind them. Here's what you need to do. Get in touch with one of us via email and let us know you want to be an official part of the Drinks with the Girls Pod Squad. Go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe or follow Drinks with the Girls if you haven't already. Every month, we need you to share.
Share with a girlfriend via text, share to your email newsletter, share on your socials, share from the rooftops. The more you share, the more chances you have to win fabulous prizes at the end of every month. Simply send us a screenshot every time you share. Every share is a chance to win, so the more you share, the more chances you have to win each month.
Here are some of the awesome prizes available. A coupon code for $100 off a 4-month coaching package with Karen. A discount coupon towards your favorite Arbonne health and wellness products with Lisa. A spot on the podcast. A 60-minute goal setting session with Karen. A 30-minute prep session for your child's upcoming IEP meeting with Lisa. 30-day midlife self-care journal PDF. And the list goes on.
We are so excited to have you as part of the Drinks with the Girls Pod Squad support team. And we are excited to see who wins each month because after all, we're all in this together. Cheers.
Cheers.
I think also it's important that people don't get trapped in the comparison syndrome. I have young people in my life right now, like in their late 20s, who have voiced feeling like they're behind.
Oh, for the love.
That quote unquote, everyone has it figured out but them. And I tell them, guess what? No one has it figured out.
I know.
But everyone has their own journey. None are right or wrong or better than the other. There is no behind in life. You're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And social media doesn't help that 100%.
No.
And everybody needs to, wait for it, work on your own healing and personal growth and stop worrying about all the other stuff, right? This is one, to be honest, I haven't necessarily ever had an issue with this, right? I think almost I went the other way and worked on myself like too much, right? When the other people needed to freaking step up. But I have a hard time understanding people that don't do this and aren't willing to do this. I think because I have done so much of it, I find it really frustrating when people don't work on themselves because I try so hard to work on myself and learn from my mistakes. I try to be open to feedback, right? We talked about this on the first episode. Like, we want to learn, like, we are open to learning, like, be kind, but give us feedback. So for me, when I see people that are closed off to that and just double down, I find it enraging.
I wasn't going to say this, but I just want to interject this here because it just makes me kind of chuckle, not in a funny haha way. But when I was still married and my ex-husband and I took him to therapy with me because, you know, we were struggling. I was struggling. And after a session, we came home and he said, "Don't ever make me do that again."
Oh my God.
And that should have been my clue. But I mean, we stayed married for several more years after that. But yeah, it's challenging when people around you are not willing to just kind of look at themselves and see what they could do to make things for themselves and the people around them better. But personal growth is my jam. It's one of my core values, and I think it is important for all humans. I tell my kids, I'm like, you guys get your ass in therapy. Like, you don't even have to have like a major thing to talk about. Everybody, in my opinion, needs some kind of therapy because we're all imperfect humans raised by imperfect humans.
Hello.
And until we go inward and literally deal with the shite, we just become stagnant in our own dysfunction. And this can be really hard in a relationship when one partner is growth oriented and the other is comfortable maintaining the status quo. Ask me how I know.
Yeah. And that is one thing that I'm forever grateful to my husband, my partner, for, is that, I mean, we've been through rough times just like anybody in a marriage, but he's always been willing to do that work. It may take him a while, right? It may be a difficult road, but that is what has kept us together, is he's always at the end of the day been willing to do that. And we talk about that, right? Like,
it's amazing.
That's the crux of it.
It's amazing.
So, okay, here's another one, is worry, right? Which I think is best friends with anxiety, right? So in terms of just the worry wart, the constant of wringing of the hands, the I can't stop worrying about X, right? One of the greatest lessons I ever learned about that was from a friend of mine. I taught with her and I adored her, and she had cancer and she thought she had it beat, and then it came back. And yeah, I know it's a hard one.
It's always sneaking around, lurking.
Yep. I remember I was checking in with her to see how she was doing. I mean, I remember sitting in my office, like I remember everything about it. And she was just kind of leaning on the door. And I was like, hey, you know, how are you doing? You know, you just seem like you're really at peace. And I really admire that. And she gave me really good advice. She goes, oh, no. She goes, I worry. But here's the thing. I give myself 1 hour a day to worry. Just one. And anytime during the day that she would catch herself worrying, she'd say, nope, it's not my hour to worry. And then when it was her time to worry, she found that she was much more at peace and didn't necessarily have the desire to worry so much. And I've always thought about that because it was so powerful to me that she did that.
I love that. It's like deliberate worrying, you know, being very deliberate and conscious about your worrying and choosing to have most of the hours of your day not worrying.
Yep.
So here's one. Don't put off what you want to do thinking you have time. Cancer and other debilitating diseases wait for no one.
Yep.
We all know people who were gone too soon. And what I want to know is, why are we not all using this as evidence that life doesn't around? Why are we
I
not all
know.
running like we are on fire toward our passions, our pleasure, our happiness? We get one shot, and we don't know if we're going to have the privilege of a full life. So let's start living today. So what does that look like? Take time off. There are no awards given at the end of your life for working yourself to death. Your time is a precious commodity. Give it deliberately. Don't get lost in the routine, right? All the things that we feel like we have to do, the errands and the chores and the monotony. Get out of your comfort zone. Say yes. I did that one year. I decided to say yes more because I wasn't. And when you do that, like you say yes to things you might normally say no to, we've talked about this before.
Yep.
It just opens life up. But not consequently. Conversely, say no. Like, we always have so many demands on our time. We have so many people wanting things from us. It's okay to say no. Stop multitasking. I think we're all, especially with cell phones, we're all so guilty of this, but be present. Be with the people you are with.
Yeah, for sure. I love this song by Tim McGraw, Live Like You're Dying.
Oh, wow.
And
Yes.
it's so powerful. I don't care like if you like country music or you don't like country music. Like
Yes.
to me, that's just a song. And it's exactly about this, right?
Is that the one with the bull named Fu Manchu?
Yes. And he goes through all these, it's a story, right? And he's narrating meeting this guy who thought he was dying and who's like, okay, I'm going to do all the dang things. I'm going to go bull riding. I'm going to like climb the Rocky Mountains. I'm going to like tell people I love them. I'm going to forgive them. And, you know, it ends up later that he didn't die, obviously, but it's just about this idea that he was living his life so powerfully. So I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right. So speaking of living life to the fullest, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. And that was the great one, Wayne Gretzky, that said that. This one,
I thought it was Michael Jordan.
Nope. That would be Wayne Gretzky, baby. Hockey guy, mullet and all.
We had that sign in our garage when my kids were growing up.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, this is huge for me now, and for a lot of the reasons that you spoke about, right? I keep telling my husband, you've got more road in the rear view than in the front of you at this point in life. So do the dang thing. And I will say that one has motivated me and pushed me to do so many things in the last 5 years. I had a quote in my classroom, and I won't read the whole thing because it's long, but it's Nelson Mandela, and it was one of his inauguration speeches. And I'll put it in the show notes so you can see the whole thing. But he says, I love this. He said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. Love that. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine. Freaking love that.
That is amazing. I love that quote. And okay, I thought it was Marianne Williamson.
Okay,
so clearly
there's a whole debate about this, right?
Oh, okay.
The source that I found says it was his inauguration speech, but fact check. So
I know.
Please
right?
tell us. Find the facts.
Yes, I just love it. It doesn't matter who said it.
Yep, exactly. Maybe Nelson and Marianne said it. Maybe they said it together.
Right. One of the things also that I think is important is that there's so much pain in life. Not to be Debbie Downer, but there's just so many hard things, and our hearts get broken repeatedly. And I wish I would have known earlier that it's like your heart may be broken in the moment, but that deep pain won't last forever. I mean, unfortunately, as we get older, life does not get easier, but you just learn to move through your life with the pain. And I think the way you do that is to actually feel your feelings. But it's hard because we don't learn how to do this as young people, right? We grow up trying to avoid quote unquote negative emotions like pain and sadness and anger. Wherein in fact, if we process them and can release them, that's how we move through them. So I think it's important just to sit with those feelings, make friends with them, and then wish them farewell.
Yeah. This is one of those moments that we said this in the introduction that you guys would hear us like being real. So I'm probably going to choke up at this part, but I promised myself that I'd be here. So my daughter is really struggling right now with a lot of trauma from being bullied in middle school and still, right? And these kids just feel the need to find her on social media and torment her. And the wanton cruelty has been brutally, right? So I'm literally sitting on my hands right now, not to track these little vermin down at the moment. I'm trying to be present and be there for her in ways that she could kind of take in. And the other day I said something like, I used to hate it when adults told me this, but this pain you're going through won't last forever. I'm not diminishing what you're feeling. It's real, but just know you will get to the other side. But at the same time, like my heart is just breaking for her. And it's so, yeah, it's not.
And when you're that age, that is your life. Like your peers, your
Pretty
school, that is your whole life. And I don't think at that age you really can understand that the pain, that you're not going to feel that level of pain forever because it hurts so much. Kids are so.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Agreed. My name is Lisa Corachella McDowell, and I'm not just a healthy smoothie girl. Check out nextlevellifewithlisa.com, my website and centerpiece for all that I do. Connect with me about my free classes, the fabulous health and wellness products I have, literacy work, special education advocacy, and social media. I try to live my truth and put it all out there authentically. And for a special offer, go to nextlevellifewithlisa.com/podcast for some exclusive goodies for my Drinks with the Girls listeners. See you there.
So another one, something that we wish we knew earlier in our lives. And this sounds really trite, but literally follow your passions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to get a little deep here for a second, but your dreams, your passions, your desires are put inside you for a reason. They are put in your soul divinely by an entity that is greater than we are. Whether you believe in God, the universe, source, whatever you name it, whatever you believe, that created you with unique gifts, talents, passions, and desires. And when you deny them or push them down, you're denying who you were created to be. And this is why a lot of women get to this stage in life, 40s and 50s, and they feel, that their anxiety is, off the charts. They're feeling more depressed. They're feeling discontent. And a lot of it has to do with just totally being out of alignment with who they are inside. So those things that keep nagging you in the back of your mind and the things you can't stop thinking about, those things you're curious about, these are all whispers from your intuition. And those things that you keep pretending you don't hear because you're afraid, you have to listen. Because your job as a human is to become the fullest version of yourself. And you do that by listening to these, taking action and tapping into your divine gifts, desires, and passions so you can live a life in alignment with who you are.
Amen. And that one goes along with one of mine, which is get out of your damn comfort zone and try something.
Get out.
Yeah. People are so afraid of physical and mental pain that they will literally stay stuck and suffering. It makes me crazy. Now, right? Privilege check. I get it. There's a deep psychology, and I'm not making light of people that are in abusive situations or have other terrible things that they're going through. I get it. But it makes me crazy when people won't do what they need to do to change things, but still complain about it. Right? My dad was so worked up about his shoulder joint replacement that he literally didn't have the other 3 operations he needed to have. And now at 83, he's crippled from them and can barely walk. It makes me freaking insane.
That sounds like my dad too. He's really good at talking about all the things that are wrong or he's miserable about. And then when you give him suggestions on how he can solve it, does he do it? No.
Stay tuned for our upcoming episode, Grumpy Old Men, where you're going to meet them in the flesh, listeners. Let me tell you.
That's right. We all have to buckle up for that one because
I
don't know what's going to come out of my dad's mouth.
It'll be interesting.
Yes. So another piece of advice that I wish I would have known earlier, like I think especially for women, this would be a good one if we kind of just were born knowing this, is that you are perfect, but society will try to tell you otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Because society sends messages to girls and women about who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to wear, how we're supposed to act. And unfortunately, society values thinness, beauty, and youth. And if we don't fit in these boxes the way society expects us to, we feel like something is wrong with us. And other people sometimes even reinforce this.
Yep.
I cannot even tell you how many of my clients, I only work with women, just so everybody's clear, had parents that sent them to Weight Watchers camp as like 10 and 11-year-olds.
It's crazy.
And some of them are still significantly dealing with these issues. And these constructs that society puts on us just sets women up for continual failure because it doesn't allow us to be human. These messages that we receive are the reason, get this, I fell out of my chair when I read this. The anti-aging industry is projected to be valued at $93 billion with a B by 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, society is making lots of money off of women feeling insecure and feeling like they're not allowed to age and that they have to look like they're 30.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. We're in this box and we have to deliberately fight our way out.
Yep. We talked about this on our 80s episodes, but I think that that's one of the reasons that Molly Ringwald was so popular back in the day. She did such a great job with that character of, the young, vulnerable female who's facing all these pressures of society, but then overcame them.
Mm-hmm.
And even my mom, my blessed, dear departed mom, who I love and love dearly, right? She put me in some serious boxes, and I'm still dealing with a lot of them. She was stick thin and basically just thought anyone who was overweight wasn't trying hard enough. And so I went through a lot of shame when I was younger. I remember, I can laugh about this now, but it was not funny at the time. Someone took a picture of me at a wedding where I was at a bridesmaid. And she would say, years after this freaking wedding, these people aren't even together anymore. And she was saying it, right? That's one of my favorite pictures of you. Now, keep in mind, this was in the full knowledge and grasp of the fact that I had gotten amoebic freaking dysentery the week before the wedding and was so sick. Oh, true story. I didn't know. I mean, I was hospitalized. I didn't know if I was going to make it to the wedding.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. So it's like, wow, Mom. Okay. Love her. But geez Louise.
That's intense.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, I felt like I was disappointing her by not liking that picture of myself because she was just so obsessed with it. And yeah, it was extremely upsetting.
Well, that is the perfect segue into my next tip or piece of advice I wish I knew. And that was to be okay disappointing people.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't really solidified this for myself until probably the past, 10 years. But it took me a long time to learn. And it's literally the reason I stayed in an unhappy marriage too long, because I was so concerned with disappointing my parents. What would people say? What would my family say? What would my friends say? What would my kids say? That was actually huge. What will people think of me? Surely I'm a terrible person, right? And this was the hardest lesson of my life to learn, but also the most empowering. Because once I became okay with people being disappointed in me and my choices, and I became okay with being the villain in the story, I experienced a new level of personal power. And so now I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be the villain all day long. It wasn't easy. I mean, I had a bunch of therapy and a lot of coaching around it because I had to rewire all my thoughts, all my beliefs, all my people pleasing and my quote unquote good girl beliefs that I was raised with, right? So to be able to move through life legitimately not caring what people think about your choices is next level freedom.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the whole disapproval thing, right? Like I've always been really motivated to the point of craziness to excel and to not feel like I had any choice. Like getting a B in high school was kind of a failure. It was a failure in my mind, much less a C. And to this day, I will work myself to the point of illness and physical exhaustion just to prove someone wrong or finish a project. It's pretty psychotic. My sweet friend Karen calls me on this. Thank God.
I was going to say, I don't think your coach would be very happy to
No,
hear this.
no. And she'll just be like, you're done now and move on.
Okay, I'm going to switch down the list here a little bit. And the next one I'm going to say is make self-care part of your routine.
Yeah.
But seriously, make self-care part of your routine when you're young, because then when you hit midlife, like Lisa and me, it won't feel like you're doing something wrong to take care of yourself. This includes allowing yourself to rest. It includes saying no to things that you don't feel are aligned. It means giving yourself permission to prioritize your well-being over your perfectionism. So when you are young, learn how to soothe your nervous system, because no matter what the world tries to tell you, your worthiness is not wrapped up in your productivity. And one of the things that my clients struggle with when we first start working together is self-care. They don't do it, period. End of story. They feel it is selfish. They feel they're doing something wrong. And I have to teach them that this is their conditioning. And just because self-care feels wrong doesn't mean it is wrong.
And I think it's also just about kind of the context around it. Like, I remember when I was in the thick of it, when my kids were younger, and people would say, do self-care, like, take time for yourself. And it would stress me out because I was just like, I don't know. And I know that people meant well, right? But it was like, people like, do a spa day. And I was like, I don't have time for a spa day. Like, seriously, a massage is not going to fix this shit. So it was hard for me to see that as like people being supportive, because to me, it just stressed me out. So I think it's about doing whatever you need to do to honor yourself and what you need. You know what I mean? Like, I think I was just at that place where it was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I can't. This is just going to stress me out. But what could I do to take that pressure cooker off of me and just be present?
Yeah. And I think, kind of what in a fantasy world, if all women just were raised with this idea that they are allowed to prioritize themselves, they are allowed to put their needs first, they are allowed to rest, they are allowed to turn to people around them and say, give me a freaking break and help me out here, right? Because then if not, we get to our, mid 30s, 40s, beyond, and we don't feel like we're allowed to take time for ourselves or to ask for help.
Again, shameless plug. Look at our episodes, Why Am I So Tired? Because we talk a lot about that in those.
Yes, we do. But here's another one. Become besties with yourself. Seriously, it sounds corny, but you have to love yourself with the same intensity that you love your best friends. And again, it's that inner critic. It's that inner voice inside you that's constantly trying to drag you down and tell you, all the shite things that, are not helpful, by the way. So shine your light and notice when you shrink yourself to make other people more comfortable. Because when you do this, you are really betraying yourself. You are sacrificing yourself for the needs of others. And I mean, it's easy to say now at 55, but I wish, at 25 and 35, I really had my own best interests at heart and prioritize that over everything else.
It's just like Nelson/Marianne said.
Right. Exactly. Thank you, Nelson/Marianne.
Yeah, there you go. No, it's honestly, it's so weird because I've gotten to the point where I love my own company, and I'm an extrovert, right? But when I'm on trips for business and such, like, I am hanging out in my hotel room, and Lord, I am so happy just being by myself. Like, I'm good. All right.
I get that. I love being alone.
Yep.
I hate being with people.
It depends. It just kind of depends. The older I get, the less people I want to be around. That sounds so crotchety, but it's true.
Hate's an extreme word for me. I mean, I'm choosy.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Particular. Okay. So here's my last one.
This is a good one.
Hydrate, moisturize, stay out of the damn sun. But if you can't, don't put mayonnaise and lemon on your hair and cocoa butter on your body because you'll regret it later. Plus it 100% does nothing for you. 17 magazine lied to us in the 80s. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh. Remember all that? Yeah. Lemon in the hair. Yeah.
Like, really?
But okay. Stay out of the sun. Come on.
Dude,
Vitamin
I
D.
love the sun. No, I love the sun, right? But like, not with just cocoa butter on it. That's what I'm talking about. Just like sitting there broiling, remember, with
don't fry yourself
oil and like cocoa butter and just like, oh my God. It's like, really? And we grew up in Southern California. So that was a true story all around us.
Yeah.
So
no, I feel like I'm going to be that woman who's in her 80s, who's like just brown and shriveled up like leather and just walking around with all my wrinkles and skin cancer. And,
but
I'll be smiling.
Don't get the skin cancer. That's scary.
Knock on wood.
Yes,
it is.
I'm actually surprised at how many pieces of advice that we came up, right? Like, we actually have so many on other topics. We ended up having to group them, and we've got like 3 other episodes we're going to do. What are some pieces of advice you would have wanted to give yourselves, listeners? Like, we'd love to hear those for takeaways. What are some of the things that, you wish you'd known then that you feel like need to be passed on?
Yeah, because we need to let everybody know all these little gems and nuggets of goodness.
Please let us know. And we're just going to say cheers to the end of another episode.
Thanks for listening. See you next time. Cheers.